Welcome to our first of the series on setting up your ThinkorSwim platform. Today we'll be going into the TD Ameritrade website and opening up our account, making sure we set specific settings in there, and then we'll go into the ThinkorSwim platform and actually set that up. So we'll go over downloading that, setting up the settings, and then also the mobile application. Just touch on that a little bit here. So without further ado, let's dive into it. Process is fairly straightforward. We're just going to head over to the TD Ameritrade website. In the top right corner, we have open a new account. We'll go to the individual. We'll just go ahead and open an individual account. We would recommend, getting an IRA potentially later on, but starting out with the individual is just fine. Then we'll go over to actually Google, type in ThinkorSwim. Should be the very first link that pops up here. Download now. Make sure you get the download. Don't use the website version of ThinkorSwim. It's extremely limited. We're using the desktop platform because it has advanced features like active trader, advanced charting features as well. It's really important to get that. I won't download that now because I already have it, obviously. Now, once you're logged into the ThinkorSwim platform, you're going to notice that at the top of the platform, it says the data is delayed. Now, to fix this, we're going to go back to the login screen and sign in with your new credentials that you should have set up. Once you're in there, you're going to go to the client portal, which is one of the tabs at the top right, and you're going to click on subscriptions. And from subscriptions, you should see NASDAQ real-time quotes, and you're going to want to subscribe to those. Another thing when opening up the account that I didn't mention before is that you should definitely have a cash account if you're under 25K or 25,000 USD. Then you're not limited to 3 day trades. You can day trade in a limited amount of time. You just have to wait for cash to settle because you don't have margin. We definitely recommend doing that if you're under 25K because of the limitations. You guys can go to the App Store. I just like to type in the word and then scroll down like that. That's a nice quick tip for you guys. I guess this time didn't really work too well, but I promise that's a good trick. ThinkorSwim is this one right here. I also like Webull. I'll have a link to Webull in the description. We'll also do a video for Webull. I think it's a pretty comparable platform if you're just starting out. Now once that's downloaded, we can go over to the platform, and I really love the mobile. What I like to do is also use TradingView because this application is just a little bit quicker for charting, and that's really nice for like mobile setups. But I did actually open up a new account just for this video. So without further ado, let's jump into the platform itself. We'll dive into the actual settings of ThinkorSwim by starting with application settings. So the first thing you want to do is go to orders and make sure you do auto send with shift click and auto send the order through, which is nice in certain situations. Just be careful and mindful that you have that setting on. The next thing I would set up is go to the active trader, make sure these settings are set to 0 and 3. And then into settings, we have the quote speed. We want this to be real time. That's very important. I would just copy these settings here if they're not already that way. Auto lock, I have mine set to 4 hours. So if I'm not here for 4 hours for some reason, it'll lock the accounts, and that's just a preference. And then this is definitely a huge preference thing. For me, I like dark, I like small font, I like tight. Starting out with the platform, you might want to have a normal or even roomy just to kind of get a feel for the platform itself, and it will show you kind of what that will all look like. So if I go to light, this is what light will look like. But I go to dark. Display, this is all kind of preference stuff here, but keep that the way it is, and then you're good to go there. So apply settings. Up in here, so we have the home screen. Now the home screen is pretty useless in my opinion. You can mess around with the widgets in here. I'm not really going to cover them too much. We can look at a couple. You can look at market data. Honestly, I don't spend any time here. And then going up from there, we have messages. We have support, so you can actually talk directly with support. That feature is really only open during the day when the markets are open, but you can always call them after hours as well. Setup is where we just were, the application settings. And when people share items with you, you can open them up in that menu here. You can also save your workspace in this menu. From there, we have on demand in the top right corner here, and this is a little bit different than paper trading. So paper trading is a separate login initially. It's treated as almost an entire different account, and with on demand, you're actually able to go back to specific dates and trade in those specific time frames to test your strategies. Would recommend opening a paper trade account. I believe it's open automatically with your TD account, but if not, I'll get you guys the link. It'll be in the bio, or if you're in the community, I'll go ahead and share that in our education forums, and we'll go back to the standard platform. Now, in the bottom left here, you'll see the cog or the setting menu, and I just like to start fresh. They've got a lot of items in here, and that goes with the home screen too. I mean, again, I don't use this, so now we've got kind of a clean slate. Now, I have some specific ways I set this up, and I'll go into that in a later video because it's a little too much for the beginning. Go to the plus button, and what I do is I actually set up a quick chart, and I track the market here, and the reason it's there is because I can quickly open and close it. It is just a nice way. I almost always have this side panel open, and that's because I have my watch list and everything, which you'll see in just a second. But this lets me kind of have just one pane open potentially and still have a couple stocks and my QQQ where I can track the overall market. And this depends on the day, honestly. That could be used for other assets as well. It just depends on what I'm watching for the day. Now we're gonna add watch lists. So go ahead and click the watch list button. And now this one, I always have that set to current account, or if you have multiple accounts, there will be an option for all accounts. They have basic scanners that you can utilize, and you don't really need much more than the basics at first. I usually set up one watch list for like my general go-to assets that I'll track. Basically just have a familiarity with it so that I know kind of what happens, where it's going. From there I'll have like a weekly or a daily list where if there's hot news on something. So let's go ahead and just set that up now. So watch list, and let's go to create watch list. Let's go daily watch list, and let's do daily and weekly. I think this makes things a little bit cleaner. We'll do the create watch list here, and I don't think you can actually see these menus, but if you're following along, it's pretty easy to go ahead and just type them in. And we'll call this second one potential positions. And actually, let's make 3 lists now that I'm thinking about it. Watch list as well, so create watch list, and this will be just your general. The way you can rearrange this is at the bottom. I like to have current accounts first. I like to have the potential positions right above the general watch list, and then got current positions, potential positions that I'm looking at for the day. This is often where I'll put my contracts. I will put regular stocks in there as well, and I usually will link this to 2. Likewise with my current accounts, I will link the current account and potential positions to 2. It's basically just so I can link up the most important things that I need to trade, right? So like my potential positions for the day I'll put in there, and my current account, those are the only things I'm really going to trade for the day. So I have those linked to 2, so it goes straight to my active trader. The daily and weekly, we will set that to red or 1, and I will go over and we'll start going through the actual bulk of the application. So from here, I hope you guys can see that it's fairly simple. It looks a lot more intimidating than it is. We're basically divided into a few sections here. So we got the top menu bar, then we have the subsequent menu bar, which is basically the bulk of everything you can do with ThinkorSwim is here. And we have the sidebar, which is where you're going to be having your watch list, your current account positions, obviously your account balances and everything is up in here as well. Hopefully that makes things just a little bit simpler for you guys starting out. From here, I will show you guys the menus. If you have orders, you're going to have working orders here, filled orders, so basically anything that's been filled for the day will be here. Canceled orders will show here, and then anything open is going to populate in this black area down below. If we go over to account statements, so you can see all of the account balances, the order history, trade history, profit and loss statements for each asset individually, and these menus can all be customized pretty finely. Again, we're going to dive into those in later videos, but for now we'll just keep it basic. We'll go over to trade. The first menu is all products, and we have this linked to one. We want to, you can just go through and look at all the menus. This looks more intimidating than it is. Again, this is just Forex. Basically, they have default menus laid out for you, and this is just the one they have for Forex. This is what they think that you might want. Again, for futures, the same thing. So Forex, futures, and then active trader. Active trader is actually what I use, but I don't use this menu. These are the ideal ways to trade in my opinion, and we will go into a ton of different tricks on this in another video coming up. By the way, if you're watching on YouTube, please do give us a like and a subscribe. We're gonna have a ton more content like this, and our membership is open, so check out the link below for that as well. From here, I just like to keep this menu, so trade, I always keep this to all products. I'll show you why here. So let's just go to the QQQ. The all product menu is going to actually have the option chain. If you're new to option trading, don't feel intimidated by this. We're going to really dive into the option chain and everything you really need to know about options in a subsequent video. But really the only thing you have to worry about on this tab is the option chain, in my opinion. I don't really look at the underlying on here. I don't use the trade grid. You can definitely look at these stats, but again, you're not going to really know what you're looking at if you're starting out. Again, you can change all of these settings. I usually like to have at least 15. I have these set to 30. Set the strikes to 30 so you have a range. You can kind of see and get a feel for the prices. I think that's important, and again, we'll go into option pricing in a later video. You can go through and see the different strategies. And this is a really nice thing about ThinkorSwim is you can actually pick a strategy right off the bat here, and you can open vertical spreads, which is a credit spread or a debit spread, and we'll get into that in later videos, and that's actually going to be in a separate series along with the options information. So be on the lookout for that. Give us a subscribe. And moving on to the next tab, we have Analyze, and in Analyze there are a few tabs that you should really be using, but most importantly is you can simulate trades here. You can look at the risk profile for your options, for your trades. Scan, you can use scanners here. You can set up scanners and you can save them. And another really important thing is, and I don't think you can see these menus unfortunately, these action menus drop down and you can detach certain menus from this base application and use them on other screens, and that's how you'll see some people have like 4 screens full of stuff. It's because they're detaching these instruments and putting them on other screens. Apologies, I can't really show you because of the way I'm recording right now. I'll make sure to record a separate way in the future so you can see all these menus. If you're following along, this shouldn't be very hard to follow. Really don't have time for all of it in this one because there's a ton to learn. Diving into the market watch, you can see your watch list actually and like have heat maps, which is nice. I don't really use this too often, but it is nice to see like just the overall vibe of the market. There's other ways you can utilize these as well. It's really just for interpretation of data. I should go back to, I think one of the most important things with the Analyze tab is the fundamentals. So I always link this to red. So whatever stock I have selected in my daily, weekly areas, I can just click on it and it'll populate over here. In the charting menu, there's a ton to get into, so I am going to make a subsequent video about this, but just to give you guys a really quick overview, you've got your studies here, and I just go to edit studies. This is the easiest way. You can't see this menu, unfortunately. Going from there, we have the drawing tools, and this is accessible from this drop down here, or at the bottom of the screen there is also a drop up. On this scenario here, you can get all these technical analysis tools, drawings. The settings menu here, again, this cog, we're gonna have to get into that in probably the second video is when I'll get into the charting and the active trader and the nitty gritty of the watch lists. Be on the lookout for that video. And then education, you can dive into the education section here. Again, this is just really the website, so you can look up any of this on the website itself. And then help, you can contact them, systems. Again, I hope this helped with just kind of getting familiar with the platform. Now the second video to this is going to cover charting, active trader, and then a little bit more fine details of the watch lists. So be on the lookout for that video. I hope this helped, and give us a like and a follow. We will be posting content frequently, and join our community. We have some of the most successful traders in any Discord community out there. We don't hype any stocks, and we actually give a lot of one-on-one time with our members, so we really encourage people to at least check us out. We think that we're one of the most profitable Discords out there, so